welcome to yet another segment of Doer's Adda. I, Rasika, welcome you all for this segment. Today I have with me another guest who would love to share their experience at Yuva Summit 2019. Hello, welcome. So just to start with, I would love to have the brief introduction from your end.
Thank you for having me. My name is Pradeep, and I work with the Ford Foundation, based out of Delhi. Ford Foundation, as you may know, is a large private foundation that's been in India for about 66 years. And we're an organization that primarily focuses on social justice.
Okay, that's great. Well, now this is the first time you're being a part of Yuva Summit.
Yes.
And how does it make you feel being a part of
it? I was sharing during my talk. It's incredible the amount of energy and the optimism that the crowd brings. So if I had my way, I would say this is the way that you should start all conferences, with the kind of enthusiasm that the crowd is showing anytime someone gets on stage. I think it's pretty amazing being here.
Well, as you said, you're being part of social service. You've been there for society. So how much do you believe in the fact that the young minds are the ones we should nurture and get the thought of social service within them? What is the factor you would focus on when it comes with youth and society?
See, I think honestly there is no other choice, because first of all, it's a known fact that India has such a large young population, right? So, which is a good thing in my opinion. Secondly, with the influence of technology and social media, it is inevitable that the youth are the ones who are leading in all these platforms. So given the fact that we have such a large population, given the penetration of social media in India and the boom in technology and education related to technology, I believe all of these are the ingredients to what would potentially make for a really good youth and social sector bridge. The social sector, truth be told, is in an interesting point right now in India, where there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of new philanthropies, a lot of high net worth individuals all trying to put in money and saying we want to solve some of the largest problems in India. But most of these solutions that are coming from this particular group of people is finance. What we really need is, finance can only get you so far. What we really need is solutions and people on the ground actually coming up with innovative ideas to solve this. And honestly, I think for that, the entire country is looking at the youth. So my message to the youth and to your question would be, I think the youth, unlike during my days when you're always worried about where the capital is going to come from, my advice to youth would be, forget about that. I think that's going to take care of itself. Just focus on solutions. Focus on how can you conserve water. Focus on how you can protect the girl child. Focus on sanitation. Focus on all those issues, leaving aside constraints of capital. Because if you come up with a solution that's really good, then the capital will flow easily.
So leaders, this is what we learned from this as well, that focus on the solutions, that what he's expressing, and problems do come and go, but solution is something that we need to hunt down for. Well, when when leaders come together to work for a particular team, there is a team that works, right? So every team member should have the quality of leadership, and out of which one of the term which I would use is ownership of the problem, ownership of the solution. So when should a leader know that yes, that is the time when he or she should take the ownership of it?
I think it comes to you naturally. I think one of the things that some of us get maybe bogged down with and obsessed with is this thing about what makes a leader, who's a leader. Is there one or two things that makes me a leader? I would say my advice again as someone who was young once and have gone through the same things is just don't worry about that, because see, something that really works well in youth and when you're in this kind of company, which you seem to miss out as you grow older, is this teamwork. Because when I look at people here today, whether it's all of them choreographing and dancing together, laughing together, rallying behind someone, that is teamwork. And that teamwork is missing. After 5-10 years, you'll find that teamwork missing. Because in a team, after 5 or 10 years, people are always trying to find out who's the leader here. Should I say something? Should I not say something? That doesn't happen in this atmosphere. So my advice to everyone here to groups like these, it'll come naturally. Take your team building skills that you have today, where you get along with everyone, you don't judge anyone, everyone contributes, and just keep carrying it forward. I think automatically at some point in some place, when you're working together as a team on a solution, there'll be certain skills that each one in the team brings, and that skill will automatically take you to who owns this more than the other person, who markets this, who builds this. I think don't worry about that. It'll just take care of itself. So all those books and everything else that you read about leadership and management, just forget all of that, throw all of that out of the window. I think the way young people bond and work together, you have something to teach, I think, people who are trying to build teams.
So that's wonderful to know from you. Well, over the years, there are speakers, there is so much of inspiration around us, and when a speaker like you speaks to us, we get motivated, and that motivation needs to be stable overall. But then there are ups and downs. So how would you give this? How would you phrase this? Keeping this motivation constant. How would you tell the leaders to boost yourself at the time intervals when they are down, when they are low, and there is no inspiration they can get through?
Yeah. See, I would, I think like someone else said earlier today, a young person, one of your previous youth leaders said on the stage, which I found very telling, which is, and I completely agree with, is that, see, the failures come and go.
Yes.
The only thing you got to worry about is time. And I believe that's the only thing that you'll never get back, right? That's the most precious commodity out there. So to people who are, whether you're going through a bad phase, whether you're looking to get inspired, whether you're looking to stay connected, I would say the only thing you got to be aware of is make the best use of your hours. So in those times also that you are down or you need inspiration, try to figure out what is it that you would have to do yourself. Yes. I would say don't wait for things to happen to you.
Exactly.
You take the initiative. And the initiative doesn't have to be something big. It can be something as simple as going and reading a blog that someone wrote. It can be as simple as writing to an old friend or a person or an inspirational leader that you have a connection with or you heard once speak somewhere, and just dropping a mail maybe. It might be speaking to an old friend of yours from school who has nothing to do with what you're doing. But just take the initiative yourself. The initiative, like I said, doesn't have to be big. Take the initiative yourself. I think the one thing that, and I'm not saying the young do it, but I think a lot of us do it, is always blame it on others, right? Like what you guys say, the problem is they.
Yes.
I think the moment, and I really believe that, and unfortunately I think it's one of those things that you'll only learn as you get older, that it is all about you. When I look back at my young days, I wish every time I wanted to be inspired, I wish I took the pen or I took the phone or I took whatever and actually made the effort myself. Instead, what you would do, you would go back and sulk and you'd sit by yourself and say, world is not fair to me, nothing is happening. Again, like the guy said earlier today, I think the only difference between people who succeed and people who don't is not talent. Talent maybe has a very small role to play in it, but it is effort. Like, that's the only difference in my opinion. People who make it and people who don't, the only difference is effort. Because this is a conversation I have regularly with a lot of people I speak with also. Don't worry, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the most beautiful person. You don't have to be the most of anything. The only thing you have to do and be, which is completely in your hands, is really hardworking. I think to be the most hardworking person in the room, I think is much more important than anything else. And hard work is completely dependent on you, as you know.
So leaders, how it is now that things are in your hand, your fate is in your hand. That's how you make yourself successful. Rightly said that everything that happens, it's just in our mind how we portray it. So it was really nice talking to you. I'm glad you came here and we had this conversation. I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.